All right, the time is now 1:04. Why don't we get started with the meeting? Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Councilor Victor Davila, Chairman of the Public Safety Committee. Calling this meeting to order of 1:03 on June 27th. Today, I am joined by my colleagues, Councilor Perez. I'm joined by Councilor Govan, Councilor Hurst, and I do believe that Councilor Whitfield just joined us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I also have Commissioner Calvi. Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think in the background, I see everybody can introduce himself.
I have Deputy Chief Hess and Assistant Director Ocasio with me today in my office.
That's Deputy Wells.
Oh, Deputy Wells, sorry.
Welcome to the meeting, guys. Very well. So let's all have an agenda, I believe. Commissioner, thank you for joining us today. The purpose of today's meeting is just to talk about centralized dispatch, what it does, what it is. A lot of people don't really know what it is. I think it's not really a new department, but it's a department that was consolidated back in 19, something like that. You know, has a robust budget of, I think, for this year, $3 million. And it's a good thing, you know, to see what our dispatch are doing for the residents of the city of Springfield.
Sure.
Well, Commissioner, I think you're going to be taking point of this, right?
Sure. So I can give everybody a brief overview of the department. I can talk about how many calls we've done. So the department was first consolidated back in 2012.
Calvi, if you allow me, please. I want to recognize Councilor Mike Fenton is also joining us. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Sure. So the dispatch department was initially consolidated back in 2011-2012 timeframe. The fire department had its own separate standalone dispatch facility, and the police department had their own separate standalone dispatch facility. They were then civilianized and put under a SEC group. That group ran dispatch until 2019. It was floundering. We were still in two separate locations. A true merger had not taken place. So they had management, but they weren't unified. There was a police dispatch, there was a fire dispatch. They were operating on divergent CAD systems. They were in separate locations. They had separate equipment. At that time, the city asked if I would consider taking it over and try to get them on the right track. So I've taken dispatch over and folded it into the fire department as a third service standalone division within the fire department. And we have now co-located the two separate dispatch facilities to Roosevelt Avenue, which that has enabled us to have a state-of-the-art dispatch facility. The dispatch facility before the consolidation at the fire department was built in 1956. It was probably updated in the mid-'80s and hadn't been updated since. The dispatch facility at the police department had changed configurations over the years. I believe its last major update was the 2014 timeline. But it was a room with no windows. It was a back room. It was too small for the operational needs of the department. It was kind of shoehorned in there. So the first thing we did was we decided on the Roosevelt Avenue facility that the fire department already had. We completely gutted the facility back to the studs and began rebuilding a state-of-the-art dispatch facility, which included new flooring, new furniture, new radios, new computers, all new hardwiring and interconnection. We then have new fiber optic line that was run in there by the city. So we're working on some redundancy now. So that was phase one. Phase two, we're currently finishing up right now, is to be on a unified CAD system. So right now the police have a CAD and the fire department still has a separate CAD. So we're at contract negotiations right now with Motorola to be a single source CAD vendor and then police RMS system for the city of Springfield. And then that's going to be the next step to really streamlining the operation up there.
Can you tell us what does that mean, CAD system?
CAD system is computer aided dispatch. So when a caller comes in, you type in what type of call it is, and then it codes it, and then it looks at the available resources and designates what the nearest police cruiser would be or the nearest fire company would be to respond to that call.
Very well. And right now you say we're using two different systems, correct?
Yes, right now police are on a IMC CAD system and the fire department is on Interact.
You have a cost projection of how much a unified CAD might cost us?
What was the initial bid?
Oh,
The CAD.
It's in that envelope, but you don't get to.
we don't see that.
See it, so down at City Hall as part of the.
We don't have a final cost projection at this time. It's still in the contract negotiation phase.
Okay, and you will need approval from city council, I believe, right?
It'll be a contract that goes to city council at that point.
Very well. Good, I'm sorry, floor is yours.
So once the CAD system is unified, then we can really streamline the workflow to the next level and implement some metro dispatching and really take the service to the next level for the citizens.
Excellent, excellent. Good. Do you have any questions from councilors on the call, on the meeting so far before we move on? Okay. Now, go ahead, Commissioner.
So you'd sent me some questions, so I can roll those all in right now. So in 2021, the 9/11 system in the city of Springfield answered 375,879 calls for service. That's not counting other ancillary calls that come into the center. That was just 9/11 calls for both fire and police department was 375,879. To contrast that, so far this year in 2022, we've already answered 170,227 calls for service in the city of Springfield so far this year. Councilor Davila asked me to break it out a little further. He asked for behavioral psych calls. In 2021, 4,130 calls were designated as psychiatric behavioral emergencies.
You come in.
If everybody could be muted, please, said the commissioner. Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner.
So far this year, we've responded to 1,652 calls for psychiatric behavioral emergencies in the city of Springfield.
Was that 4,000 or 1,000?
4,130 last year, 1,652 this year.
Okay, gotcha. Very well. It seems like it's going down, right? The trend for the psych and the behavioral calls.
Well, we're a little less than 50% so far this year. So usually summer and going into the holiday season is the busiest time for psychiatric emergencies. So we're almost to the halfway point of the year, and the busiest season for psych is yet to come upon us. So.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
The other question asked was the total amount of dispatchers. Currently, we have 36 dispatchers on staff and 9 leadership positions. We have a authorized strength of 54, and we have currently 9 openings. We've got 1 class in the academy, the dispatch academy right now, and we'll be starting another class in September.
Okay, and how long is the class, the dispatch academy class?
20 days.
It's a 30-day class, and then there's another 30 to 60 days of on-the-floor internship and mentoring to get them fully certified.
And how many people are we expecting for both classes? Are we expecting to fill those vacancies completely?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, or Counselor, I couldn't hear you clearly.
To fill those, the 9 positions open within those 2 classes, or?
We're hoping to get up to full staff with 2 more classes. We don't like to make the classes too big because we feel it really inhibits the learning for the students. So we're probably going to do 6 in the September class, and then depending on attrition, either finish off with another class of 3 or a class of 6.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So that's the the personnel status at this time within the department. We're answering all calls. We just had another resignation the past week, so we'll add that one into the queue to be refilled in one of the next upcoming classes.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, you said those 36 dispatchers, they are civilians, correct?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So another question Councilor Davila had asked was the translational services for non-English speakers. If we can identify the language, there's a translation line that the state has and that the city has, the police department has a contract with for dealing with people that speak different languages. Currently, there's over 300 languages that are available for translation via this service. And if the dispatcher is unable to get close to what the language is, there's a linguist on staff with the state who comes up on the line and can help identify the language.
Really? Huh.
So right now, there's translation services available, anything from Azerbaijan to Zulu,
Okay. Very well.
and the 300 languages in between.
Very well. And what about for the hearing impaired, sir?
Hearing impaired.
TDY and sign language is one of the languages.
So sign language is one of the languages on the card, and we also have the deaf equipment, the TDY equipment at the dispatch center.
I think that's when they use a computer system. The person was able to literally type in what they need is, correct?
Yes.
Okay, very well. Go ahead, Commissioner.
And we got text, in Massachusetts, you got text 911 too.
And also in the Commonwealth, there's text support too, so 911 callers can text in as well.
Would you mind elaborating briefly on that? I'm not familiar with that.
So you can text to 911 as well as audio call. So you can actually text to the 911 system.
Just dial in the text for 911 and put in what the emergency is.
Yes,
That will pinpoint or ping your location and reroute it to the appropriate center.
yes, sir.
I did not know that. That's a good information. Okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner.
Next, the question was centralized dispatch. How is it cost effective and how does it maximize resources? So now all the dispatchers are co-located in one unified facility with one unified management team and have around the clock supervision, which we did not have before, and we were in two disjointed centers. So for supervision reasons alone, this is a huge win for dispatch and for the citizens of the city, for the dispatch centers to be co-located under one roof with one supervision and one management team. And it really streamlines the operation and makes it much more efficient.
Use what? Choose one.
And I'm sure part of it is minimizing or having two different dispatches.
You faded out at the end, Counselor. I'm sorry.
In terms of the cost, I'm sure that it's better because you have everything in one location, you have a lower overhead. Now with the staffing, you still have your different supervisors for each department. So the fire will have their own supervisors and the police will have their own supervisor.
No, we have one unified supervision staff that supervises everybody on the floor.
So, okay. So that also helps with the cost of salaries.
Absolutely.
Now you say that you guys centralized dispatch in 2020, this should be 2020, right?
2020, we co-located in the same building.
Okay, but when did you actually start the concept of centralized dispatch? Just wondering.
Well, in 2012, they took it away from the individual departments and made the SEC. But we started looking at it in 2017, 2018 to co-locate a facility. It took a couple years to decide on the appropriate location. And then we decided on the Roosevelt Avenue site and then built it out and then built it, opened it, staffed it, and got it up and operational.
Does any, if you allow me, Commissioner,
Oh, just hold on one sec. The sirens are going. I got to wait for it to fade so I can hear you. Okay, now I can hear.
It's like a plane going by, yeah?
Yeah.
Does any of the councils have a question so far? Anything the commission has spoken so far? If you do, please raise your hand on the queue. No questions? Oh, Councilor Dubois.
Hi there. Thank you so much. And thank you for having this meeting, Council David. And thank you, Commissioner Calvi, for, sounds like a big job that you guys are doing, and it sounds very impressive. So I thank you for that. You said that you have 36 dispatchers, you have 9 openings. You said something, what's the 54 number?
That's our authorized strength.
What does
So
that mean?
That's the budgeted number of dispatch employees that we have currently on the books.
Okay,
Includes leadership.
That includes the leadership team.
I see. Okay, great. And then you said the 9 openings, hopefully you'll be able to have them filled with the 2 classes that you have coming up pretty
Yes,
soon.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then what's the response time when you guys get a call? Is it quicker than when it was separated, or is it a little bit longer?
It's quicker now that it's all in the same building. And what makes it a lot faster is when one agency needs assistance from another agency. So if the police department needs assistance from the fire department, it's just they're 5 feet away. Hey, can you get us an engine here? If the fire department needs assistance from the police department, it's the same thing. The radio operators are 5 feet apart, and you can start resources much quicker.
Okay, great. And of course, you probably know I'm interested in the site calls. So about 4,100 out of the 375 had in 2021, in 2022, probably, but about the same thing. How are those calls handled differently than the regular emergency calls?
A lot of that happens out in the street level with the police department. How it is different in dispatch, if it's a medical emergency, and how after it's EMD to see if there's a true medical emergency, or if it's a straight up behavioral health psychiatric type problem. The dispatchers will see if there's a BHN unit available to send with the police department.
Have you ever noticed or know about a time when you guys needed the BHN unit available and it was available?
That's more of a police question, ma'am. That's beyond my purview.
I see. And you're fire then, I
Yes,
assume. Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the councilors? Commissioner, one thing that I've always said is that dispatch is truly the eyes and ears of the first responders.
Oh, absolutely. Dispatch is the unsung heroes of public safety. They're the ones who are actually the point person that talk to the citizens first on what could be the worst days of their lives.
I have to publicly admit, sir, that I will never be able to do that job. It's the amount of stress. I give them my kudos because I am fully aware. It takes a special kind of person. So my compliments. Go ahead, Commissioner. You can finish up.
So that finished up all the questions that you had sent me that you were looking for information on. So I've given the overview of the department and the questions that you had. I'll take any other questions from the counselors that you may have that I may be able to answer at this time.
Let me start off with a question, and I think you might have perhaps answered my question already within your explanation. I do know there has been occasions in which, and I realize, Commissioner, that no system is perfect. I fully realize that. There has been times in which we're kind of waiting for each other, whether the EMS is waiting for police or police is waiting for EMS. And I noticed it kind of a pattern with the behavior on the side calls. I realized the police department themselves are extremely busy. They're doing tons of calls themselves. I'm actually pretty excited that we have a new class, which appears to be top notch. And so, I know cases in which EMS is staging, waiting for police, and police is on scene waiting for EMS. So it's like we're waiting for each other. Would you like to venture, or either the deputy, as to what might be the problem there, or because it has happened not too often, but enough for me to kind of like wonder as to what's happening.
There's several variables that could be involved in that. The first variable is it depends on the acuity of the EMS call and what else is going on in that district at that moment. So if there's a higher priority call than that EMS call that requires police assistance, that's going to draw the police officers before an EMS call. So if there's a violent person, a breaking and entering, a domestic assault in progress, anything like that is a higher priority than an EMS assist.
No, I
So,
understand. Saying like the EMS is staging.
oh, okay.
Waiting for
Okay, I understand what you're saying now.
PD, and PD is waiting for us. So we're waiting for each other. The end result of that is that you don't have the resources are limited, and we're just kind of sitting there.
So that's an anomaly that started lately with the newer paramedics and newer EMTs. They seem to want to stage and wait for police on every call without committing to going into the scene. And oftentimes police cruisers are on scene and EMS is 2 blocks away. So used to be that EMTs only would stage on a violent call, a known site call or something like that. But it seems to be more prevalent now that the newer generation of EMS people are staging more frequently is without knowing police are on scene.
Interesting. Huh. Very interesting. But then how do we, I'm still not clear that once police on scene and they're staging, like how the communication of letting the EMS know there or vice versa. That's because
The problem is, we don't know if EMS is staging.
Right.
Because we're not in the same room with EMS. So,
The issue is that we don't dispatch EMS. The EMS is dispatched by AMR. So they don't tell us that their people have staged or in a staging location. So what we're doing is working on a program for them to let us know if their truck is going to stage and not go in. So that's between dispatch centers that we're working out right now.
Are you guys meeting regularly?
Yes, we meet quarterly.
Quarterly. Okay, very well, very well. Okay, that's a good explanation. Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else has a question for the Commissioner or the Director or the Deputy? No? Okay. Let's see that we have some committee members on the call. Then welcome to the meeting. And very well. Now, Commissioner, we are kind of we love to go and see your facility. So when can we make that? When can we make that happen? Sir?
I sent an email to Council President Letterman 2 weeks ago with a list of dates that broke it out into 2-person timeframes. So I didn't hear anything back from him. I can send another one with another group of dates. We're happy to give a tour. We're happy to show people the facility. I can only have 2 people maximum in there at a time because of the sensitive nature of what goes on in there. And with a lot of people in there, it develops a lot of background noise and it makes it difficult for the dispatchers to hear. And it makes it difficult for us to actually give a good presentation about what's happening at each station because you get too many people in there at the same time. So I can send some more dates, but I can send 3 or 4 days with 2 people in the morning and 2 people in the afternoon. But that's as many outsiders as I can have in there at any one time as 2 people.
Before we go on, will the person with the phone number of 4650 please identify themselves? Phone number ending in 4650. Okay. All right, let's move on then. So Commissioner, would you mind sending those dates to me? I will circulate them to the councilors, and then go coordinator, to whoever wants to go and take a tour of this facility, I will be more than welcome to do so within the parameters that you explained just now.
Absolutely.
What does to mean, I will make sure that it gets out to everybody. Very well. I think this might be a short meeting, Commissioner.
I hope I answered everybody's questions.
At least you did answer my questions. For that, I'm grateful. I think I am pretty content with your answers. I can't believe the council don't have much questions right now. This is a lively group. No questions? Very
I
well.
don't have any more. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so good. So, good, Commissioner, again, I realized that this, like you said a little while ago, this is like the unsung heroes they're the eyes and ears of emergency response. And so please do share with the staff my gratitude in all the work they do, because I know it's an extremely stressful job. It's a high-paced job. And so I sincerely ask you to pass on my thanks to them.
Absolutely.
Deputy Wells and Director Ocasio for doing.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank
you.
Very well then. If that no more questions, then the meeting is adjourned at 1:30. Thank you, everybody. God bless and have a good day.
Thank you. Have a great day.